episode of Attention. I'm your host, Coach T, and today we have a special guest, Miss Valencia Cantrell. She's from Heflin, Alabama, and the reason why I wanted to bring her to everybody's attention today, I'm going to let her tell y'all.
So, first off, hey guys, I am the owner of CC Athletics in Heflin, Alabama. It's a cheerleading, gymnastics, and tumbling gym that we're actually in the process of building. Almost like a sports complex in Heflin. I am also an educator. I currently teach now at Zora Ellis Junior High in Talledega. I'm a cheer coach. I'm the competition coach. With Cleveland County as well as Talledega. So it's really cool to be able to see the different groups. I do a lot of things. I'm a mother to one, but also a mother to many, I always say.
Yeah.
All
right, there we have it. Now, this is why we're bringing her to everybody's attention today. Okay, personally for you, do you need to be, to have, or to feel?
I was struggling with that question because all of them are very important, but then I had to really dissect me. And for me, it is feel, because everything that I do drives off of how I feel and then the nudge of what my conscience is saying to do. So everything. So personally, feel is going to be the most important. It's just how I run.
So give us a little bit about your background.
Okay. So my background, it's a lot. Born and raised, or born in Fulton County, Georgia, in Atlanta. Parents moved us down here to Alabama. We lived in Heflin all my life. Went to school at Cleveland County. Graduated from there, went to JSU. I was a basketball player. I was involved in everything in high school. I love to be a part of everything, too. It's just one of those things, just being a part of that. I think that comes with the feel as well, because I like to just be in the moment. Went to JSU, the cheerleading ambassador, go leader. I was the first Black homecoming queen in '07, so that was pretty cool to be able to have that accomplishment. Pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. And then, of course, got my degree in education, went back immediately, got my master's in special ed, because you always got to have a fallback. Mm-hmm. My whole thing is like, got to have a plan B. So my whole life is a plan B. Like, what is your plan B? Have the A, but still have the B ready. So I've always had that. Never knew that I was going to use it. What else? Always dreamed of coaching and doing something big in that area because I knew that I was good. But it's not that just cheerleading. It was more so, how can you make an impact on people? And then going to now, I taught for 15 years. Then I took 2 years off because of COVID, and I knew that I needed to come up with something, but because COVID was one of those things that was unpredictable. Didn't know what was going to happen. Do they need teachers? And then my whole thing was, I have a little person. What is your ground going to be? So I had to make sure that, I had to have a game plan, and that's where the gym kind of surfaced up.
Why did you want to become a coach?
Okay. I wanted to become a coach because I wanted to make an impact and be the difference in kids' lives or just people's lives in general. But ultimately, I had a cheer coach and a basketball coach that instilled so many good things, and they became family. And I remember growing up thinking, first off, parents worked all the time. They couldn't make it to everything, so my coaches became my people. And because of that, I was like, okay, they made a huge impact with me, and until this day, they still keep up with what I have going on. And so I remember thinking, okay, I don't really know what I want to do when I graduate, but I know I want to be a coach. But I wanted to be the coach that impacted. And so just to be that person to show them, okay, this is the right way. I want to be able to instill in them, the passion of whatever their sport might have been or might be. And it was important for them to understand, the kids in general, to understand that it didn't matter if you came from money. It didn't matter if you didn't have money. Our ultimate goal of coming together was our sport. And so I wanted to make sure that I kept that passion, because it's not a lot of coaches out there that actually care about the individual.
All right, so I got a quick question real quick, because I know I played basketball with you. Mm-hmm. So I want to know, why the cheer coach? Do you coach athletics as well, like sports, or why just the cheering when you was good at everything?
Well, because cheerleading is the one that opened all the doors.
Okay.
Basketball, I was athletic, but I originally got into basketball because I like to run. Our school at the time didn't have track. I wanted to run. I was a runner. And so it was easy for me to get up and down the court. However, I'm competitive naturally. So because I was playing basketball and I have teammates who are shooting threes and doing all these things, and I'm like, well, I got to look good too. So I'm getting out there practicing and practicing and practicing. I loved it because, again, the competitive nature of it. But with cheerleading, it was so hard. The world of cheerleading is different. People don't really understand it, and I like challenges. So it was interesting because I'm able to talk to people and explain what cheerleading really is. It's not really all about the skirt or getting on the sideline. It's about being the cheerleader for people on days that you're having a hard day, but I'm also having a hard day. But as a cheerleader, my job is to try to figure out how to uplift you.
Okay.
And so that's a cheerleader. So I always say America needs cheerleaders, not saying just in general being on the sideline, but to me, that's what a cheerleader is. And it ran from there.
That's what's up. So what's the hardest part about being a coach?
Ooh, the personalities. You got different personalities. You get your group and you're like, yes, you're rocking and rolling it. And then you get a new one. And then they come in and they just change the whole, oh my gosh, everything is just changed up. And then you got to figure out how to rework it. But ultimately, you're their parent. Mm-hmm. You have to be their person. And you have to, if you have, family at home, you're with these kids or these people more. And so that's really hard at times because you have to pour so much into them and kind of put your, on the back burner. But
so would you say that's what you love about it?
That's what I love about it. That is absolutely what I love about it because you're making a difference.
Okay. Do you value honesty, integrity, or loyalty?
That's a tough one too. I would have to say integrity because honesty kind of rolls into that. It's hard, for someone to have integrity.
Yeah.
That's tough. And so I value that. So when someone, really and truly have that integrity, you got something there.
Right. I say you got two things. You got character and your integrity.
Yes.
Character is what they see. Integrity is what I know. And both of them got to stay intact.
And they have to stay intact.
Yeah,
and they go hand in hand. Can't have one without the other. So, yes.
All right. So what are your core values as a coach?
So my main values as a coach, I got a lot of them.
Give me your top three. Top three.
Discipline.
Okay.
Determination and drive.
All right.
Those are going to be my top three, only because that goes on throughout life. Mm-hmm. You got to have some kind of drive to get you to where you're going. You got to be determined even when you're knocked down. Not every time you're going to win. Not every time it's going to be, all sunshine and rainbows, but it is all based on your drive, your determination, like what you're feeling there. So, yes.
What made you decide to open up your own gym?
So all of my life, I knew that I wanted to be coaching, but ultimately I knew that I wanted to have my own, but COVID happened. Mm-hmm. And when COVID happened, being a teacher, it became unpredictable. And having a little person, I didn't know what was next. I didn't, it was that uncertainty of, how are we going to make it? What are we going to do if, they decide, let's do away with teachers and everything's online? Because I taught health, and health is one of those things that you don't necessarily have to have in the classroom. A lot of schools have it online already. So I'm a health teacher. So I always had to have a game plan, and my plan B was special ed because everybody's going to need that. But anyway, so I knew that I needed something. But when I was 12 years old, I created a book. And I always do like my dreams and things of that nature. But I had my business plan. And in there was my gym. And I didn't know what my gym was going to look like, but I had all the things about the gym, what it would kind of be and how it would surface up. So it just kind of went from there. But I never started it. I could have always started a gym because I've always taught. I travel. I coach coaches on how to coach. I train athletes at all kinds of schools. People call me all the time for privates and things of that nature, and I build programs too. But the thought of building a gym at the time, it was scary because it was the thought of failing.
Mm-hmm.
So I allowed fear to just kind of, but again, I drive off of the feel and how I feel. And at the time, and I always say God's timing is right on time because you just never know. And working at Buster Miles allowed me the opportunity to kind of think about, like, what do you want, Valencia? Like, this is the part in your life. You're 30. What do you want 10, 15, 20 years from now? And, people always have that. What do you want to do 5, 10 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
But in this age, what do you want to do? What do you want to see? And I knew that I don't want to always work for someone. I want to be my own boss.
Yes.
So, working at Buster Miles, I was able to network wonderful people. It was crazy how they connected me with all these different people. And everyone that I spoke to, they were business owners. And the way they started, they were like, this is what I did. You just got to go out there. And then, of course, my brother, which is like a father to me, he stated that scared money won't make money. And I was just like, okay, and me, I didn't really understand it, but he was right. And I was like, okay, I just got to do it. What am I going to lose? And he asked me that every day. Valencia, if you started it, what are you going to lose? You're already doing these things now.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to lose if you actually started? And I was like, oh, I don't know, but it was the fear of failure. I know that's what it was. But again, God, lined things up. I purchased, there was a lady in Heflin that was actually teaching gymnastics. And I met up with her. She was finishing up. She had all of her things there, and I purchased all of it. But I didn't do anything with it. I just purchased it and put it away because it was just like, check the box, I got it, oh well. And I was like, dang, but I would go visit the stuff, but I never started. Again, the fear of just failing. And then one day I got this phone call. It was this random phone call from this lady, Casey Cavender. And she was just like, hey, is this Valencia? And I was like, yeah. I said, who is this? She said, well, I called the city of Heflin and they gave me your number. I moved here. I want to start gymnastics classes, but they said you're teaching classes. And I was just like, well, yeah, but I haven't started yet. And I said, and I was at Buster Miles at the time, and I said, I get off at this time. I said, would you like to meet up? Didn't know this lady or anything. And we met up, and the feeling from meeting her on day one, within the first 15 minutes, it was so interesting. The first thing that she said, she looked in the room, I showed her, it was a hot mess because nothing was done in there. And she said, what do I have to do to work for you? And I looked at her and I was like, work for me, and I was like, dang. So then after talking with her about what her goals were, it was like there was this on my shoulder saying, no, this is supposed to be your business partner. Mm-hmm. So I looked at her and I said, let's just do this together. Let's partner up and let's be partners. And she looked at me and she was like, okay. And that day we cleaned, we worked. And it's so interesting because if you see us together, you would think that we've known each other for so many years. Mm-hmm. We had the same game. Like, it was literally, we were equally yoked as business partners. Our rope was just literally intertwined together.
That's what I said about networking.
Every single thing. It's so interesting. She knew all the sides of the gymnastics. I know all the sides of the cheer. Our goal was 10 kids. We have 96 in our program.
Okay.
And so we immediately outgrew our spot. Okay. And that's where the building came in.
All right. That's what's up. So you would say, like, you think, like, God led you to that. It's like, that's what I was saying on my other podcast with Fishbowl Brody. We was talking about networking, and it's a lot of times people want to do stuff by themselves, and like you said, you was just sitting on it, right? Mm-hmm. And I would say I have that same thing. Like, I had all this equipment to start my podcast, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm just sitting on it.
Yeah.
Just sitting on it, Yeah. But what am I doing now?
Yeah.
Start my podcast because I met my boo.
Yeah.
And she forced me, man. It was just like, you got it in. Just go ahead and do it. I'll show you how to do this.
Right. Well, and it's good because networking is so important. It's one of those things that I think we are fearful of doing because it's like, if we network, I'm stealing your idea or you're stealing my idea, but it's not that. And I have learned, being 38, I have learned today that The only reason I'm successful is because I am networking.
Networking.
I don't want to.
You gotta adapt to it. See, people think that you're gonna take your shine. No, like you said, she knew everything about this side. You knew everything about that side. Yes. Y'all co-adapt. Yes. You see what I'm saying? That's what it's about, like, bro.
And we partner up with other gyms, and we pick their brain, and they pick our brain. I mean, it's really important, because the way I look at life is, if I'm going to be successful, I need my circle and the people that I'm walking with also successful. Same so mission. Like, if I'm going to eat, I got to make sure you're going to eat. Right. So I'm going to put you in the same path. I'm going to introduce you to these people. And a great example of that is, right now we're renting a small space in the Armory in Heflin. And so I'm teaching tumbling, but I can only go so far with my tumbling because we don't have our full floor yet until our gym is made. So I know that even though I have this top-notch athlete, I got to push her to another gym. And I'll promote another gym, and I'm saying, hey, go here because they can provide you this, this, and this. And I've had people say, why would you do that? You're going to lose your people. Because if I don't, then I won't be successful. Our gym won't be successful, because at the end of the day, maybe I'm supposed to show these people how that actually looks, because I'm not scared to push you there, because you can offer this. So it's important that I allow you to offer those things, because at the end of the day,
just reach one, teach one.
Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. How do you view the relationship between academics and athletes? I mean, athletics.
Well, they go hand in hand.
Okay.
I'm a stickler for, especially, let's just talk about high school. Because college is a little different. And then you also have now this travel stuff, travel ball and all that, to where you don't necessarily have to go to school. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but to me, academics is very important, because it doesn't matter how athletic you are. You're not going to get that full scholarship. You're not going to be able to go here or there without the grades. So with me and all of the athletes that I've coached, I set up tutoring, I set up study hall, I'll sit you out in a heartbeat. And I always say, I know at Alabama High School, they say, you got to have a C+, but in my constitutions, I always say a B or better. If the parents are like, well, why is that? Because if I can't challenge you, then who's going to do it? And I can't coach
you can't coach you. Right. Hey, that's real.
Right.
They don't listen. So, that's what's like Coach Carter. Let me find out.
And I pride myself in that. We have, all the years of coaching, all of my athletes have had a really high GPA.
That's awesome. How do you handle parents who have concerns about their child's progress?
It's so funny, because parents is hard sometimes, their babies or, don't do no wrong and things of that nature. But I always have a sit down with all of my parents and explain to them, you're the parent of your child. You do all the things in your household for your child because that's your child. That's your job. My job is to coach your child. So I'm the expert in that area. And I explain that to them in a way to where, like, not saying that I know everything, because I never want to know everything as a coach, because then there's no room for me to grow. But I always explain to them, you got to allow me to do my part in order to make your athlete successful. And I always explain to them, not everything that I say you're going to agree with. Not everything, your child's feelings are going to be hurt every now and then. But the day that I stop recognizing and I stop saying things to your kid is when you should worry. Because in that moment, your child's not coachable. So you got to allow me to be able to coach them and to teach them, because that's how life looks. And cheerleading, I'm teaching you life skills. You're not going to always like the people that are picking you up, lifting you up, tossing you. You're going to be mad at that person. But guess what? In the real world, when you're working, you're going to have a coworker that you don't like, or a boss that you don't like. You still got to get up and do. So it's one of those things, just kind of making sure that relationship, and they understand that I genuinely care for your child. And there's a time and a place to have a conversation, and sometimes when they don't want to listen or can't hear me because, they got all the answers, I normally just say, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I just leave it at that. And I keep it moving. But I think it gives them time to kind of cool off, and because sometimes people just like to argue. Yeah. But I never give that. I just say, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah. See, maybe as being a life coach, I'm starting to realize that I be trying to be stern, but I don't really know how to be stern. I'm really nice, like a big, cream puff. But then sometimes you have to take it there with them, like, because they don't listen to otherwise. Like,
You do. You have to take it there, and sometimes I'm like, man,
and it hurts me.
But I
when
always
get home.
follow it up with a positivity. I'm like, I'll say it, and then I'm like, you know what? But I really appreciate this. And they're looking like, because I'm over it. In that moment afterwards, I'm over it.
Right.
Like literally, I don't take it any further. Whatever just happened or the conversation, it is over after that little 5 minutes.
I feel you. So how do you develop community support for your team?
Network. Getting out there and talking. And, being with everyone. It's so interesting because getting into the gym now, I have realized that, not everyone knows how to socialize with everyone. They stay with a certain group because they're comfortable. I can sit at a table with the richest of the rich and the ratchet of the ratchet, and I will still be Valencia.
Hey, that's what I say. I got the best of both worlds.
And I know how to relate.
Yes.
Across the board without changing who I am. And I think people are fearful of doing that. And I think that's why I like the community support. Like I can go out and talk to anybody.
And that's why when we were just talking about you being in Talledega, that was the question that I asked you. And I'm glad that you said that because now I see why. Because I'm that person. I go in one door and go in a whole nother door and get the same response from both of them.
The same exact response.
And that's like a gift. That's a gift. Yes. And it's good that you're putting your gift to use.
Yes. My principal, they brag all the time and they say, Valencia, wow, like you've changed up the mindset of some of the teachers that have worked here. Like they used to come in, they said just negative and just, bitter. And they're like, here you are, sunshine. All of the kids in the entire school call me Miss Sunshine. I think actually they think that's my name. I don't know. Because I was like, I've never heard them say Cantrell. They say Miss Sunshine. So I don't know. But it's because I call everybody Sunshine. And the kids ask me that. And I'm like, well, why not? I said, because I get the response from that, and dealing with special ed, it was challenging. I had some difficult kids. And when I said behavioral kids, everybody was like, yeah, I don't know what you're going to do. Like, they're not going to listen. And to this day, if I say, no, ma'am, no, sir, they respect it. The teachers will come to me and say, hey, I need you to get so-and-so. And I look at them and they're like, I'm so sorry. But it takes a minute. And again, it comes off the feeling, what they felt from me, and I explained to them, look, and they'll, kids are going to be kids. So, of course, they had to try me, and I just look at them. And again, I go, I'm sorry you feel that way, but you're going to do this.
That would make me mad.
It does. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I'm sorry you feel that way. But this is what we're going to do. And I always say I got all the time in the world, and so it's funny. So they understood and they realized that,
Yeah.
But yes, Talledega is totally different from Cleveland County. Yeah. It's day and night. Kids are the same in the sense of kids are going to be kids. Mm-hmm. It looks different because the life is a little harder, but the passion is still there because if a kid truly didn't want to be there to have an education, they wouldn't have got up that morning and put the clothes on to come and walk through the doors. Mm-hmm. Because they could have taken a left turn when the parents dropped them off. They could have taken a left turn to walk, but you chose to come inside. Mm-hmm. So therefore, in common, Cleveland County and Talledega, that's what they had in common. Even though you wanted to be bad or whatever, every kid drives for discipline and they're hungry for it. They just don't know. Some kids don't know how that looks. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't have it. But then more or less, it comes with, can I trust you?
Right.
And so that's the big thing. So before I teach, I get to know. Because at the end of the day, you're going to forget everything that's in those books. Mm-hmm. But you're going to remember the time that this person spent, this person listened to you, this person, hey, let's go do this, that corrected small things. And so, but yeah.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it.
That's awesome, bro. I'm glad you're a teacher. So, 3 words. What do you want your legacy to be?
Ooh. My legacy. Everything I do is based off love. Genuinely love. So, love, passion, positive vibes, positivity. I know that those things sound cliche, but that's literally me in a ball. I try to make sure every decision that I make, everything that I do, regardless if I'm upset or not, that the decision is made out of love. And if it wasn't, or if I said something out of the way, I will have self-talk with myself all the way home, and I'll call you. And I'll say, hey, look, I don't know if you remember, but this is what I said. This is the place that I came from. I apologize. And I make sure that apology comes immediately because I can't go through my day knowing that I probably hurt someone's feelings or said something wrong, and then being positive. My motto is if you can't find the sunshine, you got to be the sunshine. And what does that look like? Some days are going to be dark and heavy. I've had a lot of them, heavy. But at the end of the day, what out of that? Where was that light out of that? And so you got to be able to see it. And it takes discipline to be able to do that. And I know I have people all the time saying, how are you just always so positive? And it does take work.
It does take work, man. But like, I don't persuade, like, my face, you wouldn't think I'm positive. But when you talk to me, like, if you go and ask a bunch of people about me, they're going to tell you, man, she is so cool. She is so funny.
Yes, I used to be
but
scared
I keep
of you.
that, I know. I don't know, that's your fault because I never did anything to you to make you scared. It was just the appearance.
Tough. I was like, oh, no.
See? And so if a person can approach me, then I feel like, hey, that's the person I'm supposed to talk to, engage with, because they got the heart to come up. Because I know I be looking mean sometimes. I have that resting face, but I'm a sweetheart, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm always smiling. So people are always like, are you even upset? I'm like, I am. They're like, well, you don't look upset. Well, I am, but I smile with it. And so I think the smile softens the being upset.
But, okay, let's get back to what you just said about me, about being mean. So am I mean?
No. Oh, my gosh.
I'm just saying.
You genuinely you have a great soul.
Thank you.
And I've always said that. I mean, yes, being in high school, of course, is terrifying. High school is terrifying. On a basketball team, you're with these top-notch athletes. Here you are being moved up, this skinny little 7th grader, and they're yelling at you, and you're scared that you might have to run. It was a lot. It was a lot of pressure, But no, like,
those was the days, though.
Getting to know you, growing up around you, like, you have always been Tina.
Thank you.
You have never been anybody else other than Tina, and you don't apologize for being you. And my mother says it all the time. She's just like, that is one person that is genuinely a good person and have a great spirit.
Oh, tell Mama I said I love her. You already know. Oh, all right. What advice do you want to give to your generation? You talking about us?
Stop thinking that everybody's out to get you. Because they're not. A lot of time. And it's okay to give a compliment. As Black women, we don't. It's so crazy because we'll, it's like we can't say, oh, I like your purse, or oh, your hair looks nice, or oh, this, that, and the other, because for whatever reason, I don't know. Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay to support others. It's okay to, help someone out. It's okay to give advice. I have a lot to say about our generation because it's just like, we're failing. I'm like, what is happening to us? We are so fearful of someone getting ahead to where we're willing to hurt our own family instead of, you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like, no, I can't give you that advice because you're going to be too successful.
Right. That's what I was talking about, the networking.
Like, it's not. Just do it, because we won't know what our purpose is if we keep holding back. And I think if we don't network, see, a lot of us are we have our purpose that is sitting right there. But see, our purpose can't surface up because we're so fearful of the network. Mm-hmm. So we're holding back. So some people will never live out their purpose because you're so fearful of being able to give just a little bit, thinking that somebody's going to take.
And it's that fear.
It is that.
And then see, that why has to be bigger than that fear. And and you said that earlier, but you just said it in a different way. That's why I say, but that why has to be greater than that fear. Yes. It has to be, or else you're going to fail. You're just going to sit there, it's going to lie dormant in you. And then when you get really, really old, you're going to be like, man, I wish I would have did this. Yes. I ain't one of them people. When I say I'm going to go do something,
me too.
I'm doing it.
If I always say my word is my bond, I tell everybody that. If I say that I'm going to do it, or if I tell you that I'm going to do something, I'm going to make sure that I do it. It goes with the kids too. I always tell people, don't tell a kid you're going to do something and you don't show up.
Right.
Because they need you. Like when you're saying that, they need to trust that you are being that person, So you definitely have to, your word, I know if you tell me something, it hurts if you all of a sudden you don't do it. I'm like, dang, well, you lied, because I'm thinking, I'm trusting the fact that you're going to follow through with what you said you're going to do, And as far as me, I know everybody does on New Year's, oh, your New Year's resolution, all that. I don't do that. So what I do is I take a sheet of paper and I write down my goals for the year. And I do it on around Christmas. And I write down all of my goals, what I want to see happen for the year. And I put it in an envelope. And on New Year's, the coming around, or, it just really depends on when I'm doing it. But that following New Year, I'll open up that envelope and I'll look at all the things that I wrote down. And I'll check off what actually came to. And then if it didn't, then I rewrite it down, because those are still those goals. I have to complete those goals, because I can't be successful if those things aren't done.
This sounds like a vision board, but a modern way to do a vision board. Yes. And I kind of like that.
Yes. So you just put it in an envelope, because then you're going to look at this envelope and you're like, dang, what's in there? What did I write? And you remember kind of what you write. But then the most interesting thing is you're able to open this up on New Year's and you're looking, you're like, dang, I did do this. I did buy that house. Oh my God. Because you want those small goals, those big goals, and those goals that you can't really reach, but you can possibly sit a little bit, all of the things. And so it's interesting to do, but it holds me accountable for what I have to do. So,
okay. Last question. What do you feel needs to be brought to the world's attention?
That it's okay to be different. That not everybody is meant to be the same. We as a society feel as though if you are here and I don't know, your pants is all the way down to your knees, and I don't know, you got dreads and you smell like marijuana or whatever, that you're a bad person. And that's not necessarily the case. Or the person that is so put together, have it together. Because that's not always the case, So it's just important that, for us to understand that it's okay to be different. It's okay that things look different, but we have to understand differences.
Yeah. I think more of what you're saying is like, there's like, to get to 6, you can go 1 plus 5, there's 3 plus 3, 6 plus 0. Yeah. So there's so many different ways to get to that end result. Yes. So why are we always hating on, because I don't want to go your way?
Right.
Like, you want to go 6? Oh, I want to go 1 plus 5. Right. So what's the problem with that?
What is the problem? And I think we are so cookie cutter. We feel like things have to be a certain way, and I grew up that way. We're taught you have to go to school, graduate, go to college, meet your husband. When you meet your husband, you can't live together yet. Have your kids after, get a great job, all of the things. But if you steer off, you're a horrible person.
Right.
It's just like
the scum of the earth.
Right. But it's just kind of like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Yeah. It is okay. And I think we just put too much emphasis on little things like that, and instead of the big picture of just loving.
Yeah, it's like that 2 roads diverge in the one. I took the one less traveled by.
I took the one less traveled.
I don't want to go on the road everybody else going on.
No, me either. I want to go
just
on
call
this
me
rocky.
E, because I'm gonna pick the whole road up and bite it. I'm going my own destiny.
Like, I want to have those struggles. I want to make those mistakes.
Right.
I want to do all those things because I love life, and I want to make the mistakes. I want to have difficult situations happen because I want to learn how tough Valencia is and who Valencia really is. You know what I mean? Because you won't know that, and you'll never know that if you don't go through something.
If you don't go through something and make it through.
Because
a lot of people go through stuff and get stuck in going through what they're going through.
Yes, and they don't know how to get out.
Right.
You got to know how to strategize. That's where your plan B come at. So you see,
I love that back against that wall. I'm coming out.
Like, okay, look, wait.
Straight up. I have so many little plans, like me starting on my podcast and everything that I'm doing now. I wrote this stuff down like 5 years ago, yo. Mm-hmm. But like, it's life had got to me, and then all of a sudden, what? Yeah. I started doing this.
I remember when you said, I'm about to do it. And I said, what are you about to do? You said, a podcast. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to be a life coach. And I was like, you got this. Remember, I was just like, you can do it. Let's go. Let's get it.
And I'm doing it.
And you're doing it. I'm so proud of you. I really am so proud of you. I think it takes leaving, coming back, growing.
Yep.
In that order.
Right. Yeah, because if you ain't never really left the nest, you don't know what to expect. So it's like going out there and taught me that who everybody think I am here, that's not who I am.
Right.
It's those people know me the best because those are the times where I was struggling, I was down, and I always seem to make myself come back. Like I've lost everything, sleeping in the car to where I am now.
Yes. And I think it's important. Those things are important.
Yes.
That is life. Like people try to tell their sob stories all the time. They're like, well, I just can't. Well, yes, you can. Yes, you can. I know people who were homeless and now they're making all kinds of money because they wanted it.
Right. You gotta want it.
You have to want it.
You gotta be your own reason. Shout out, life coaching. Be your own reason, life coaching. Yes. But yeah, you have to be your own reason. Like seriously, that's where that name come from. I had to be my own reason.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of people don't like to listen to people, but I get it because sometimes a person could be trying to give you some advice or drop some knowledge on you, and they've never been through what you've been through.
Yeah, that's always tough.
And that's kind of like the hardest. You know what I'm saying? But if you can put yourself and align yourself in the doors that you want to be in, then you can always remain teachable.
I
that's
agree.
What you got to do.
I agree because I have so many people tell me things all the time, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure you've never went through anything in your life. But I'm like. I feel you.
For real.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, maybe they just need to hear themselves speak.
Right.
But I was like the day that life kicks you in the tail, you come talk to me.
I want to thank you for being on here. This is what attention is for. It's time to get you highlighted, Miss Sunshine. Yes. Well, I did not know you was in Talledega, but I am so for that.
I'm in Talledega. I love
Take
it.
her to Talledega.
They said the city.
Make a difference.
It's the city. We're in the city.
Make a difference. You know what I'm saying?
They tell me I say it wrong too. They tell me every day.
How you say it?
I go Talledega.
It's Talledega.
It's Talledega.
It's Talledega. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Attention. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, hit me up at sunflowerspeaks@gmail.com. Remember, experience to teach, don't just learn, and hit that subscribe button.
If I had a heart, if I had a heart, if I had a heart. If I had a heart, maybe the love will last. Maybe my trust wouldn't crash. If I had a heart, I could heal from all my sad, heal from all of my past. If I had a heart, I lost it so long ago. Depression had me so low.